Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling a really thought-provoking set of notes. Have you ever considered that someone who appears incredibly devout on the surface might actually be presenting, well, a kind of imitation faith?
It's a powerful and slightly unsettling idea, isn't it? Like counterfeit currency, it looks so real, but ultimately it holds no true value. This deep dive is pretty much all about how we can pursue genuine reverence so we don't unknowingly become what the sources call counterfeit Christians.
Exactly, that's the mission. We're going to unpack this by starting with a classic parable, then move into some sharp insights from the book of Proverbs, and finally explore a fascinating analogy that helps us understand what true alignment looks like. Let's dive in.
So the material opens with this pivotal tension, right,
Yeah.
from Jesus' parable. Two individuals going to pray in the temple. You have the Pharisee, widely seen as a religious model, very strict in following the law.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the tax collector, despised by his own people for working with the Romans. The contrast couldn't be starker, really, on the surface. Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how they pray. The Pharisee almost recites a checklist of his virtues. He thanks God, listing all his good deeds, saying he's not like other people, not extortioners, unjust, adulterers.
Right.
He even boasts about doing more fasting twice a week, regularly tithing a tenth of his income.
Okay, so on the surface, the Pharisee's prayer sounds perfectly devout, almost impeccable. What then does the source material reveal as the underlying issue, despite his actions?
Well, the sources highlight that the problem wasn't his actions themselves, it was his attitude. He was incredibly proud, self-righteous even, pointing at the tax collector saying, "I thank you that I'm not like that man."
Wow.
His outward behavior was polished, sure, but his inner state, that was one of self-exaltation, demeaning others, and that's just not what God desires.
Now the tax collector, he offers a complete contrast. How does his approach differ so starkly?
Totally different. He stands far off, can't even lift his head to heaven. The sources describe him as incredibly humble. He simply beats his chest and says, "God have mercy on me, a sinner." That's it.
No list of good deeds.
None at all. Just complete humility and repentance for his sin.
And here's where Jesus' conclusion truly takes an unexpected turn, right? What does he say about who goes home justified?
Yeah, this is key. Jesus says the tax collector went home justified, meaning accepted by God, over the Pharisee. Now, this isn't saying good deeds don't matter. That's not the point. Instead, it emphasizes that true reverence isn't just about righteous actions. It's fundamentally about having a humble, repentant heart. It's like the sources put it, behavior plus a sinner's prayer.
Behavior plus a sinner's prayer. That's a powerful summary.
It is. And that's really the core tension we all need to navigate,
So if the Pharisee represents this outward show without that inner humility, how does this tension manifest in more subtle, everyday ways? Because our sources move from that parable to the book of Proverbs, chapter 6 specifically, which lists actions God particularly dislikes. And what's striking is, like you said, these aren't always huge, obvious sins. They often show up in our daily interactions.
Right, which raises an important question. How does that inner pride or that inner humility actually manifest, in concrete behaviors like haughty eyes? That's one example given. And it isn't just overt arrogance. It's often that unconscious feeling of being superior to others, maybe feeling more spiritual or more knowledgeable. That mindset, while subtle, can be pretty widespread.
That's a powerful point. It's less about grand gestures, more about these subtle internal states. Okay, what about the lying tongue? How do the sources elaborate on that, beyond just obvious falsehoods?
Well, it's not just about telling big, dramatic lies. It's also those habitual small excuses, the little white lies maybe, that we make for convenience or to save face, like maybe fabricating a reason to avoid an unwanted visitor.
Okay.
These small habitual lies can really erode trust in relationships. They subtly undermine integrity over time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the one who sows discord among brothers, that feels incredibly relevant today. What's that look like in practice, according to the sources?
Well, in an office setting, for instance, it could be manipulating colleagues for personal gain, spreading rumors, playing people against each other. You know the type. Online, it's even more common, sadly. Anonymous accounts spreading misinformation or just creating conflict to break up group harmony.
Huh. If we connect this back to the Pharisees' attitude, that seems very similar, doesn't it? Demeaning others to elevate oneself.
Indeed. The root is often selfishness or pride. Absolutely. The sources also mention a heart that devises wicked schemes and feet swift and running to evil. The analogy used is quite vivid, actually, like scam artists who are incredibly proactive, even passionate about planning how to deceive others.
Passionate to describe deception. That is quite ironic. It's sobering to think about.
It is, isn't it? It's a sobering thought that ill intent can be just as driven, maybe even more driven, than positive pursuits. It really highlights the danger, especially when that kind of ill intention gets combined with significant ability or resources or influence. Think about an influential public figure with bad motives. The potential for damage becomes much, much greater.
Okay, this all sounds quite serious. So how do we avoid falling into this trap? Looking okay on the outside, but having these problems internally. The sources offer a very helpful analogy here. The triangle of faith life, picturing 3 interacting gears.
Yes, this is a fantastic visual, really helpful. So the smallest gear is I. This represents our own thoughts, our background, our abilities. It's basically our personal input.
Right, the I gear is our individual perspective. So what are the common pitfalls the sources highlight if that gear, the I gear, is the one trying to drive everything?
Well, if I is the primary driver, we often fall into the trap of self-reliance, ignoring external wisdom, or maybe even ignoring divine guidance. It can happen easily. And that leads to the middle gear, which is you.
Okay.
You represents external guidance and reminders from others. Think parents, spiritual mentors, your community, good friends.
So outside help and wisdom makes sense. How does that connect with the largest gear?
Then there's the largest and most crucial gear, He, capital H. This represents God's truth, His law, His will. And the key insight from the sources here is that our I gear should never, ever be the primary driver.
Okay.
Instead, the largest gear, God, the He gear, should be driving everything. The triangle of faith life offers this powerful takeaway. Our individual I should never be the primary driver. Instead, God's truth, the He gear, must be at the helm, guiding every other aspect of our lives. This really shifts our entire perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. That helps clarify that we need to be God-centered, God at the steering wheel, not me.
Yeah.
And how does the you gear fit into this, especially thinking about that humility we talked about earlier?
That's a great connection. At the same time, we're centered on He we need to be thankful for and humbly open to, that middle you gear, the reminders and teachings from others. We shouldn't just rely on our own thinking. That's where the practical application of humility comes in, accepting guidance beyond ourselves.
Okay, so we've covered a lot today. Quite a journey. For me, this deep dive has been a really crucial reminder that true reverence isn't just about outward actions. It's not just what we do or don't do.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that it's fundamentally about our inner heart, our attitude. Is it humble? Is it truly reverent towards God? Is it God-centered? That's really the critical question we need to ask ourselves.
And the imitation faith analogy really serves as a needed warning, I think. If we only have that outward shell, that appearance, but no real humility or obedience in our hearts, then even if we participate in loads of religious activities, seem really zealous, the sources suggest it could be like that counterfeit currency, ultimately without value in eternity.
And this really isn't a small matter, is it? It concerns our eternal outcome. It's serious stuff. So true reverence, therefore, should be about learning from God's truth, that He gear, using wisdom from our faith to discern good and evil in all our daily choices, striving to do good, avoid evil, and actually practicing that in our lives, day in, day out.
That's really about living it out in every aspect.
Absolutely. And maybe to leave you with a thought for further reflection, think about a specific area of your life. Maybe it's your work, your family, your interactions, maybe even your online presence. Is there a place where your out expression might not perfectly align with your true inner state? Your heart attitude. This is a continuous journey, right, of self-reflection. It's a prayer we can all bring before God, seeking adjustment, seeking alignment.